Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the One Hub Racing Season 18 Round 2 for the Singapore Grand Prix. Brought to you by Next Level Racing, Liam RBS, 3M Sim Racing, partnered with Vespertine, ERT, in collaboration with Time to Print. I am going to be your solo commentator tonight, Peter Knighton, because my co-commentator, Matt Redmore, is unfortunately unwell at this time and has had to pull out last minute, and there are no reserves to help out. So I'm going to try and cover everything as professionally as possible, but there's a lot of information I've got to go through, and we will start off with the current standings after last week's sensational race at the Gilles Villeneuve track in Montreal, Canada. I'll take you through the driver standings from last week. So Liam JHM C12, One Hub Race Premium driver, is leading the way after taking a storming victory last week with 20 points. Then it's Astronaut, who started on pole last week in P2 after a recovery drive and a half from having a spin at the exit of the final chicane on a safety car restart. Craig Senna in the Red Bull, One Hub Race Premium driver in P3. KingGen 79 sits fourth with 12 points for Williams. Waze is 77 in the Alpha Tauri in P5. ERT driver F1 Baza sits in P6 for the Alfa Romeo with 8 points. Fuzzy Bear in the second Mercedes, partnered with Astronaut, in 7th. Reverend Daniels and Prime Valkyries line up 8th and 9th for the McLarens in the standings with 5 and 4 points respectively. JW Coms got 3 points in P10. Indecisive Mac for Haas got 2. And Jess rounds out the points-paying positions in P12. Also, RAS Adam in 13th got a point. I'm not too sure what for, but it may have been for a fastest lap outside the top, outside the points scoring positions. So going into this Singapore Grand Prix, I'm looking for close racing, but it's a very difficult circuit for people to be overtaken on. There are 2 DRS straights, the main straight down towards turn 1 as you cross the pit, as you go by the pits and cross the start finish line, and the second DRS is on the run down towards turn 7, taking turn 6. So there are your 2 essentially overtaking sections of the track where we're most likely to see the most overtakes. If you don't get it done into turn 1, you're more than likely going to have an opportunity to get it into turn 7. This track is 5.063 kilometers long, so it's quite long in terms of race distance for laps, and lap times are quite high as well, along with a long pit lane. I believe it's one of the longest pit lanes for time taken to get into the pits and out to make your pit stop. In terms of the driver's briefing, drivers have been warned about, or I assume they've been warned about entry to the pit lane. You have to go onto the left. Don't be cutting across onto the final corner where the curbing is. Take the pit lane on the left. Last time out in the prospect here, we saw one reported incident with King Jen receiving a 20-second time penalty which will be added to his race time. I think that is all from the steward's report. I assume my mic is now working compared to last week when I was on YouTube. I haven't heard any complaints in the chat please confirm that you can hear me. If you can't, then I have been talking to myself for the last 5 or 6 minutes as we're ready to get underway. As the clock hits 6:02. In terms of constructors, I should have brought this up straight after drivers, but in terms of constructors, Mercedes lead the way with those 2 solid top 10 finishes for Astronaut and Fozzie Bear. They lead the way in P1 for Mercedes. Ferrari are in P2 with that strong P1 finish in Canada for Liam, puts Ferrari in second, and Red Bull are in third. Just a quick note that Red Bull have made a substitution or transfer as Majestic is now unavailable to race. So we have a new driver on the grid of Zach Jarvis. Please welcome him. And hopefully he can put on a show in the other Red Bull. They sit third in the Constructors. Williams are fourth on 12 points. Alpha Tauri on 10. McLaren on 9. Alfa Romeo on 8. Racing Point are on 3. Haas on 2. And Renault have 1 point. So every team scored points last week, and hopefully we can get the same again here in Singapore. In terms of strategy, we know 2-stop is mandatory. So around this track position can be key. It's not as bad as Monaco. Monaco is where track position is completely key. This is more of a Baku-style street circuit where overtaking is possible. Same with Australia's street circuit, but it can be difficult to overtake. But hopefully we get some nice, clean racing here in the prospect tier. Please also let me know if the game sound is too loud or not loud enough, and if you can hear me nice and clearly in the comments. I'll be able, if you have any what's the word I'm looking for, predictions for qualifying as we get on the way. It's a dry qualifying, one of only 2 races that are at 3 races that are at night time. That's Bahrain. In the real F1 it's Bahrain, Singapore and Abu Dhabi. Drivers are starting to leave the pits to get themselves a feel for the track and the conditions. Not sure any rain is scheduled, although Zach, I believe it's 2 stops. So to confirm, 2-stop strategy. I wouldn't risk going for a 1-stop just in case. If you see other people doing 2 stops, go for 2 stops. I'm pretty sure it's 2 stops for every single person, and it could benefit you. You could have done your 2 stops, or get your second stop in under a safety car. Safety cars are quite high around this track, with it being a close confined space, close confined track. We'll put on board one of the first drivers who left the pits to give you an idea of how tight this track can be and how wide these cars and how wide people will make their cars to stop people overtaking them. So Primary Rex in the McLaren is on his outlap. I think Kingen in the Williams is coming towards the middle sector. Singapore hasn't always been one of my favourite tracks to race around, but in recent times it's come a lot better, and I hope these drivers have put some practice in and started to learn the track and show us what we've got and show that they can fight for this championship, because at the moment there seems to be a clear selection of drivers who are favourites essentially, but anything can happen in F1, as we've seen in real F1. We've seen the McLarens getting podiums back to where they belong, and even if you have a down bad race as proven last week, push yourself forward and continue racing, because every point matters. Yeah, Tom and Rob confirming it is a 2-stop strategy. 23 turns around this track, and we're going to take Kingen for a lap of Singapore. So turn 1, 4th gear, then it's switched straight to the right for 2nd, and then 2nd gear for turn 3. This is the run up to the 2nd DRS straight. nice and tight on the apex. So you've got to try and get as close to the wall as you can, but not hit it. DRS wide open. And I'll get up some telemetry for you so you can keep an eye out. See here, EOS management. You might need to do a little bit in hot lap, because coming to the end of the lap, it's a fast left at the final corner of turn 23. You want to be able to use that EOS to gain that extra couple of tenths. There's a few corners, excuse me, that you can harvest that energy. For example, this little section here, this is a really tricky section coming towards, actually there's 3 DRS tracks now. If this is the 3rd, this was a new one added. Maybe looking at a different track map, but there's 3. And he's purple in every sector so far. He is on soft tyres. Few drivers on mediums. Craig Senna, Jack Jarvis, Bazza and Jess. Probably get a feel for the track. And then start punching in those quick lap times. So under the tunnel into the final sector. Nice flow in this sector. Towards turns 18, 19 and then 20, 21. This is the corner I want about you. You won't want to have our EOS for it. Around the final corner, he's derating right now, but up to the line, he sets our provisional pole time at 1:37.0. His stereogram a bit off the pace, maybe he made a mistake, maybe he went a bit conservative, trying not to get damage. Even the smallest of contacts with the wall can inflict wing damage, and you really need as much downforce as you can around this track. King Jen's time has been absolutely smashed by last week's race winner, Liam JHMC12 in 1:35.6. On the soft tyres, he's going to do a cool down lap and probably box for a fresh set. Prime Evo X ahead of Bazza on the mediums, so his first lap on the mediums as Astronauts goes even quicker with a 34.8. So the gaps between drivers at the moment are showing people's confidence really around this track. Maybe if you put a lot of practice in, you'd know where the limit is, how fast to take the corners. And I believe Astronaut has taken advantage of pure knowledge of the track, conditions, and going for the race. It looks like it may be dry throughout. If it was a wet start, everyone would have just gone all gun blazing onto softs, but people on mediums maybe can pull out the alternate strat to start in the top 10. I'm more than likely going to see people outside the top 10 start on the mediums. Please excuse if you do hear any yawning. Out of a busy day at work. Almost got caught up in a little car crash as well. But luckily all is well, and I managed to make it back, because if I had been involved in that crash I would have not been back in time. And you would have probably not have had a commentator at all. But luckily I'm here, safe and well, and bringing you round 2 of the Prospect Tier 100 Racing Season 18. There's been an incident for a Mercedes. Is that Fuzzy Bear? It is Fuzzy Bear. Is yet to set a lap. Maybe he was on his fast lap. And has lost his back end on the exit of turn 21. Catching the curve there, very slippery some of these curves, but realistically you want to take advantage of as much track limit as you can. Try and push them, but not push them enough that you get a lap invalidation. So yeah, Fuzzy Bear, and now holding up his teammate Astronaut, is into the pit. Alex Lilia had a little decent accident last week in Canada, very slidey on the exit of turn 21. Around the final couple of corners up to the line, it's a 38.3, puts him in P7. I'm sure there's a lot more time to be found in the number 14 Haas. His teammate Indecisive is on the lap, exiting the final couple of corners. It is invalidated, so he's probably going to set it to see where his benchmark probably would have been, or he's probably going to go again. But when it looks at the EOS, he's going again. So we'll take the full lap into turn 1. Number 46, Haas, outscored his teammate last week and performed very well to score points for Team Haas. Now towards turn 5. The little kink of turn 6, you want to hug the kink You don't want to really take as much. You don't want to make the track longer for yourself. Make corners as tight as you can, and even run as wide as you can, just to carry all that extra speed, but try not to get invalidated at the same time. Now towards the old section of the Singapore Sling, towards turns 14, 15, no, it's 10, 11, 12, 13, and up to, this is the straight, this is the second DRS straight on the track, up towards turn 14 to enter the final sector. I'll see if I can get tasks up. I'm trying to get everything at once. Usually I'd leave the task to Matt, Red Matt, so he could bring us the detail of where people are purple in each sector. Up to the line, he goes P8, behind his teammate, 7/10 off, but inside the top 10 at the moment. There's still 6 drivers yet to set a time. We're on board with our new driver, Zach Jarvis, derated but across the line, puts himself in P30 at the moment, less than a tenth off Liam in P2 with his original time of 35.6. I believe he is now out on fresher soft tyres, and is currently 3.5 tenths up in the first sector. Now it's this tricky hairpin of turn 13 onto the second DRS straight. We'll see what his sector time is looking like at the end of sector 2. He was 3.5 tenths up, he's now 4.5 tenths up. Still not enough to challenge Astronaut just yet, but all that time could be found in this crucial final sector. Now around the final couple of corners, he's derated really early, didn't even save any ERS, so this is going to be really crucial. Around the final couple of corners, up to the line, it's a 35.1. He only gained like 0.02 of a second in that final sector, and that will be down to the use of ERS coming out of turn 21 up to 22 and 23 and round to cross the line. I think he'll be happy. He's pulled a further gap to Zach Jarvis as Prime Evil Rex slots himself into provisionally P3. I may have got my times mixed up. It may have been 1.1 seconds, the gap between P3 and P4. But we're showing the standout drivers at the moment, who will be looking forward to try to clinch that title. Zach's teammate Craig, who currently sits in P3 in the standings, is yet to set a lap time. 6.5 minutes to go. Medium tyres have been selected. Maybe he's trying to leave it till Track Evolutions the perfect at the end. Minimal fuel, fresh medium tyres. As the other McLaren, Reverend Daniels, goes up to P5, and King Jen promotes himself to P4. Everyone other than the top 2 within those 136s. Hello, Klaus. Nice to see you in chat. Get your predictions in the comments of what's going to come out, what's going to be the outcome for the final 5 minutes. At the moment, Astronaut seems to be unbeatable for pole position. He got pole position in Canada. At the moment, he's looking for pole position. 3.5 tenths separate him and his main championship rival at the moment, Liam JH. But I think Liam might have that more time to find. If he can harvest that ERS in the middle sector somewhere, mainly through, I'd say from turn 10 to turn 13, you don't really need to use ERS. you're not gaining that much advantage. There's a very slow section of the track where you can harness that energy and take advantage of it for the final couple of corners. That could be the pinnacle point of where time is found. As Craig Senna now leaves the pits with just under 5 minutes to go. He is on medium tyres. From the looks of things, he will be doing only his runs on mediums. He'll have enough to do 2. There we go. I now have tasks. Well, I had tasks for a while, but I hadn't checked. Jess has kindly sent me tasks. So at the moment, Astronaut has purple in every single sector, but it's very tight in the first between himself and Liam. In terms of fuel usage, as Zach Jarvis is back in the pits, we'll keep on board with Craig Senna, one of only 3 drivers yet to set a time. TGW unfortunately was involved in an incident last week that resulted in him in a DNF. Is going to be looking for a change in finishing position. Hopefully he can start towards, maybe get himself in the top 10. He is on soft sides along with Waze. Grand performance from him last week as well in the other AlphaTauri. But these two, the sister teams of Red Bull and AlphaTauri, don't want to trip over each other. Maybe Craig Senna wants to leave a little bit more space, because if TJ has an incident or has a slide, hits the wall, I know ghosting is on. So, but you can't really predict if they will ghost, because all of a sudden there's a car in front of you and you've got to react and try not to get damaged. Yeah, Craig Senna on his lap, medium tyres. He's got a McLaren up in front of him and a Racing Point behind him. We'll have a look what his first sector split is on these mediums. I believe Basil was the quickest driver to set a time on mediums. He is. He's currently in the top 10. He's gone out on softs. And will, maybe if he gets knocked down outside the top 10, want to promote himself back up there, because track position is key. You don't really want to be stuck in traffic. Trying to get on the power early was Senna out of turn 13 towards turn 14. McLaren of either Primeval or his teammate Reverend Daniels is up ahead, but I believe both of them are on outlaps, but luckily not going to get in the way. So around the final couple of corners, lap is still valid, but he's starting to derate now on the exit of turn 23 up to the line. It's a 36.9. He puts himself inside the top 10 crucially. That is very crucial for him. Otherwise, the strategy to start on mediums would have not gone through. Apologies, I just pressed the wrong button. But yeah, at the moment, P7, 36.9, ahead of Jake, who's also set his best on softs. Let's see if we can get some improvements. Astronaut not going out for another lap. Well, he's done another lap and absolutely smashed his time of a 34.8 and then a 34.2, setting the benchmark for pole position. Liam, I believe, is probably the only person who's probably going to challenge, unless the Primeval engine can get a good lap in the final stages of qualifying. Shifting down the gears through turn 13 up towards turn 14. Pugny sits on the second row of the grid with his teammate on the fourth row, the third row, sorry. A second to find to gain a position, but maybe because of the gap behind is so small, any improvement could guarantee him a second row start. To the final couple of corners, derating once again up towards the line. Is it going to be an improvement? It is indeed. He gets himself into the 35s, not enough to overtake Liam, but puts the pressure on Zach and the drivers behind, who were breathing down his neck as Zach goes straight on at, I'm not sure what turn that is, we'll put the full minimap on. That is turn 9. So his qualifying is over. He has retired on track, not sure whether that is legal. Hopefully his AI doesn't cause any issues. Up to line, King Gen overtakes Zach, gets himself a 36.0. What can Liam do? He is pushing hard. He is coming up towards turn 14. Purple middle sector, 2/10 up. Won't be enough to snatch pole position at the moment. What can he do in this final sector? He only gained 200 of a second in the final sector on his last lap. Hopefully he can push a little bit more, as the tyres are quite heated now. He's derated once again. So hopefully he can solidify this P2, make an improvement up to the line. I'm not sure it'll be P1. It is P2 with a 34.7. Gets himself into the 34s. 5/10 off your pole sitter Astronaut as everyone else finishes their laps. Wade's got himself up into P9 with his one and only run to 36.8. TJW did a 49.8. Some might say a sloppy lap, but at least he got a lap time in. I was able to take in the conditions of the track. So there we have our qualifying for the Singapore Grand Prix. Astronaut will be leading the way as he tried to, as he did last week in Canada. Liam, that one step closer to Astronaut. He was starting P3 last week. He's now P2. Hopefully he can get a launch and a half like he did last week and challenge Astronaut into turn 1. Please watch out as well for Primeval in third. Looks like he's got some pace up his sleeve to snatch a podium today. So we'll run down qualifying order at the end of this session. Astronaut takes his second pole position of the season with a 134.2. Liam in P2 with a 34.7. There's Primeval and King Gen on the second row. Third row is Zach Jarvis, Newcomer, and Jake W. Combs. Fuzzy Bear in P7 and P8 on the fourth row with Reverend Daniels. Waze and Craig Senna on the fifth row, round out the top 10. Alex Lilliot, the perfect position for the Ultimate Strat in P11. Bazza in 12. Jess, Indecisive, CPI Storm, Stereogram, TWJ, and No Time for Demon in the Racing Point. Gazaman complaining he can't get into a 34. Surely you can, Gazaman. Surely you can. Dry race from the start of things. Those medium tyres are going to be very crucial for Craig Senna, who does start inside the top 10. Not the best position of it being P10, but he will be on those mediums compared to everyone ahead of him who will be on softs. I need to do a quick read through the media, if I can find it, get some questions that drivers have answered ahead of this race. So in terms of strategy, we've got the C5, the C4 and the C3, soft, medium, hard. Everyone inside the top 10 other than Craig Senna will be starting on softs. And as you can see, a few drivers starting to go, going to go aggressive. Alex and Baza on the softs. We've got Jess, Indecisive, Storm, Stereogram, and Demon on the mediums, and then TJW on the softs as well. Strategy: soft tyres don't last that long. With a 31 lap race, I'd say you're probably going to get, at most, especially if you've qualified on them, at most 5 or 6 laps, hard racing laps. But this is Singapore. There is a high risk of safety car. And hopefully these leading drivers don't want to be involved in any incidents, as 2 drivers have already been disqualified from the session, which is our newcomer Zach Jarvis and the Racing Point of Jake. They're going to be on the grid with cold tyres. In terms of rivalries for Prospect, it is between Liam and Craig Senna. Battle of Constructors. Liam, with the driver of the day behind you and the win next week, did Ferrari management make the right decision in trusting you over Craig, current Constructors champion? And Craig was asked, what are you going to do to show the red team's management that they've made a mistake giving the seat to Liam? Liam's response, being honest, I think Craig is a great driver, and I do believe that Ferrari made the right decision picking me over him. Craig obviously didn't have a great end to last season, and with my strong displays near the front, both last season and this season so far, I think it is with no brainer for me to get the Ferrari seat. I still think it will be close between us this season, but I believe that I have an edge over him pace-wise. At the moment, you do have an edge over pace-wise, but he has the strategy over you. You've got to be very careful as more drivers get disqualified from the session. Let's see if I can get a response from Craig. I don't think there's a reply from Craig. As the drivers start lining up on the grid, Liam now in a predicament in the number 12 Ferrari. He's going to have cold tyres. He's not going to be able to make that lunge into turn 1. He does have the inside, but let's keep it nice and clean as we wait for the 5 red lights to get going here in Singapore for round 2 of season 18 at One Hub. Lights out, and away we go. Decent start from Astronaut, poor start from Liam. He's getting jumped by the McLaren and the Williams of Kingen. Kingen now into P2, side-by-side action between the McLaren and the Ferrari behind. Liam losing places left, right and centre. Strategy on board, soft, medium, medium. So the driver's starting on soft, I believe medium, medium, soft for drivers starting on medium. So great start from Astronaut. What he wanted to put himself in position for the driver's title and continue the push for constructors. Kingen, the great start off the line up to P2. Primeval tried to take advantage of both of them. Both Liam's poor start and Kingen getting through to try and promote himself onto P2. He currently still sits in P3. Liam now down to P4, but not all over just yet. Zach Jarvis P5, Jake in P6. Alex with a great start from P11 up to P7, with Levin Danvers losing out from the start. Ways up to 9th, with Baza rounding out top 10. Craig lost a position on those mediums, but at the moment, no safety cars, and for as far as I'm aware, no damage for drivers. I will check on TAS though. I'll try to check on TAS, if my phone allows it. Any damage? Let's have a look. So in terms of front wing damage, there is on the 19% for Fozzie Bear. Let's have a look at Fozzie Bear down in 12th. Doesn't look like he's got damage, but 19% on his right end plate. Right end plate damage for Fozzie Bear, and at the moment, other than him and Undecisive has 100% damage on his left wing plate and 12% on his right. So Indecisive at the back, under controversy at the start of this race, as TJW got off to an electric start. I must have missed it, but other than the glitch times, let me double check what position he is actually in. The task stops fiddling about, as Indecisive is in the pits for his first pit stop. Wing change, hard tyres, and hopefully the grid can settle itself out. So it's Astronaut who leads the way, who now has a comfortable 2.4 second gap to Kingjin, who is now forming a little bit of a train behind him. He's got Liam, who got by Primeval, Zach, who's behind that, and then a little bit of a gap to Jake behind, who's got a little train of Alex, Reverend, and then weighs 1.5 behind. There's your top 10 for the first 2 laps. Up the stereogram, come on lad, from one of your fans, Liam0619, giving you a shout out, but I believe you've just been passed by TPI Storm. He has indeed. I need the telemetry to fix itself, and then we can see what the gaps really are. As there's a yellow flag. Oh, there's a Haas spun. It is Alex Lilliard. After a great start, round the final corner, lost the back end. Not sure whether there was contact with him and Reverend Daniels, I believe, who he was battling with. He now has left end plate damage from what I've seen on board. He's now dropping down the field. He's done the safe thing of getting out of the way of drivers, and will start making his way back to the pits. Absolute disaster for the Haas team. Both of them picking up damage in the early stages of this Grand Prix. Both Alex and Indecisive now at the back of the grid, at the back of the group of cars, and it's going to be a long, treacherous trek for Alex Lilliard back to the pits. No safety cars yet. The spin was not enough, and the debris on the track was off the racing line. No safety car needed to be called. Liam has gotten by King Gen. Very important for him in the drivers. Unfortunately, I missed the move. Focusing on Alex's spin. But King Gen, the other Williams, now sits in P3. Primeval is behind Zach Jarvis. Unshake in P6, Revan P7, Bazza, Waze and Craig Senna back into the top 10 with that spin from Lilliard on those mediums. So far no mistakes from Astronaut. 4 seconds and pulling away drastically. How much ERS has he got? He's not even using the ERS. He's got the pace, the number 32 Mercedes. Anything Liam can do to challenge? He's had a bit of traffic, he had a poor start, got the tyres now up to temperature, and can probably start hunting down Astronaut. Maybe even an undercut. As TWJ and Fozzie Bear go side by side into turn 1. I believe TWJ has got the move done on Fozzie Bear, and Fozzie Bear down to 12th. Still a great start from TJW. It was down in 17th and has already made up positions on those fresh softs, as Lilliard has finally made his way back to the pits as the leaders start coming round towards turn 9 and 10. Long way to go in this race. Anything can happen. A lot of drivers bunched up. Maybe some safety car can come in to help Lilliard get back into this race, and Indecisive. Closest battle on track is this little train of cars. Of course, from Waze, he's got Craig right behind him on those mediums, starting to come into their own. Those tyres are incredibly much better condition than the soft runners. as side by side between the two drivers, and Craig gets it through. Will there be some team orders down at AlphaTauri for ways to let his teammate through? TJ started to shape him up, nearly went into the wall, but Bear wants to get on the action. Down the inside he goes towards turn 17. Doesn't get the move stuck as Primeval is into the pits, or has he made a mistake? He's lost a lot of time and was unable to go into the pits. Reverend Daniels, his teammate, is in the pits. I'm not so sure what's happened to Primeval Rex. No damage on the car. Maybe he had a slide out of the exit of turn 21, where we've seen a lot of drivers lose the back end on traction as Reverend Daniels makes his first pit stop. I said the softs will probably last 4 or 5 laps after quali, and our first undercut runners, first soft runners pit stop are in. Bear has decided to push for the undercut on the 2 Alpha Towers and Craig as well. As Jess makes a move on Stereogram with the help of DRS down towards turn 7. Moves herself back up into P12 in the other Ferrari. Every point matters, and at the moment she's securing them. Bit of a gap as Waze and TJ swap positions in the middle sector towards turn 13. Waze doesn't look happy on these softs. A little bit loose on the exit. He does get DRS, but not going to be challenging his teammate towards turn 14. Very loose rear end. Let's have a quick look on TAS to see what Waze's tyres look like in respect to everyone else. Yes, his rear tyres are on fire, 62 and 65% respectively. I think we're going to see a pit stop from Waze as the leaders are in. Astronaut is in, Liam is in, Zach stays out, and so does Bazza. Kinggen is in, Jake is in, and Primeval makes a pit stop this lap. So Jack Jarvis, first Grand Prix from One Hub, as far as I'm aware. We welcome you to the Red Bull seat as well. Leading the race, he's doing what he needs to do. Craig Senna now promoted up to P3 on the alternate strategy, and medium tyres for Waze. See if we can make the undercut work. He does jump Primeval Rex. Primeval Rex might have had a wing change, but at the moment Waze ahead of Primeval. Excellent qualifying for as Stereogram is out the race. Where has that happened? Will it bring out a safety car? It's in sector 1. He's done it. Has he retired in the pits, or has he done it on the pit wall? I'm not too sure about that, but the yellow flags are cleared. I don't see a car on the left, and unfortunately for Stereogram, that is his Grand Prix over. So Jack Jarvis leading the way with Bazza in P2. These two drivers may react now to the leaders pitting and everyone else around. Astronaut, however, is going to start coming up to a little bit of traffic. They managed to get ahead of Jess and Demon, who started on the mediums, but they've got Storm and Senna ahead, who may cause a little bit of trouble. But TJ, he may not have had the pace in qualifying, but he's got the pace in the race. He is all over the back of Craig Senna, and he is diving it into the pits as our first penalties come up on screen. Zach Jarvis to sped into the pit lane, not what you want for your debut. Craig Senna has a penalty along with Reverend Daniels for cutting the corner. Bazza now leads the race. Probably feels comfortable on these tyres. They're not as bad as the other drivers that had to pit. 50, 53 on the rear, 52, 43 on the front respectively, with Craig behind him with 34, 40 on the fronts, left to right, and then rear left to right is 43, 46. Not as fast as the drivers behind, as CPI Storm, I pressed the wrong button. Oh, that was close towards turn 8. Astronaut's got the job done and now has a car between himself and Liam, but some, what's the word, gentleman behaviour from Storm. He's not in their fight. He's on an alternate strategy. They've all made a first pit stop. He's let Liam go. Astronaut will be fuming to see that, especially if Storm fought him with the DRS down towards turn 7. But yeah, that gap has dropped drastically between P3 and P4. Astronaut, your net race leader with Liam. The gap was 4 seconds as they entered the pits. The gap is now 1.2 and now under, as Astronaut is now in DRS of Craig Senna. He's going to be getting that dirty air. He's going to be slow out of corners, is Craig, on those one tyres. This is not what Astronaut is going to want to do. He's probably going to want to make this move stick in towards turn 1. He's going to have to go the long way. Craig Senna defends, and Astronaut does not get the move done. And he's under pressure from Liam. He's got to go on the inside. There's contact between the two net race leaders. I don't think there's any excuse me. The excitement tickled my throat. Please apologise for the coughing. But Astronaut has been spun by Liam as Liam went audaciously up the inside towards turn 3. He was on the curb. It was a bit audacious. Whether there's any damage on Liam's car, let's be determined. I will have a look on TAS and have a look at Liam. There is wing damage, and there is a minor wing damage to Astronaut as well. So on the left end plate there's 90%, on the right is 6. That's for Liam, and Astronaut is on 6% on the left. That's not too bad, but as I said, every piece of downforce counts. And now another recovery drive is needed from Astronaut here. Luckily, he hasn't lost too many positions. He still sits in net P2. And hopefully, going forward, he can make a recovery, get by CPI Storm, and be on the charge back to Liam. That wing damage is going to start to hinder Liam, especially with the dirty air, as he catches up to Senna, Craig Senna, on those old mediums. Let's have a little look at pit stops. Only 4 drivers yet to stop. They all started on those mediums. It's Craig, Storm, Jess and Demon. Demon, however, not having the greatest drive as of yet, as Liam to the outside. Craig made it difficult for Astronaut. Liam's going to go round the outside. There's contact between the two, and Senna has been sent spinning into the wall. I'm not too sure. I don't want to call anything on that. From the looks of things, there's no damage, visual damage from my screen, but I'll check TAS once Senna has recovered and is now back on track, facing the right way. Astronaut back up to P2, and he's spun again. Hot mediums for Senna has ruined his alternate strategy. Maybe Liam didn't have to go for it there. He could have waited for the longer second DRS straight run towards turn 7. He wanted to be aggressive and get the move done early. He was forced off track, but the contact has made him spin, and he spins again, does Craig Senna. The Alpha Tauri of TJW gets out of the way, but I think he clipped the wall and has now got significant end plate damage on the left. He does indeed. Absolute dramatic, and we're only 9 laps into this Grand Prix, and drama has already hit, especially between Liam and Astro. The two rivals as well, Liam and Craig. Craig never left a comment, as far as I'm aware, from what I read of the rivalry between them two. The two rivals collided, and it's absolute carnage for Senna, down in P14 now, and the lowest of the drivers yet to make a stop. Prix has already made 2 stops. He can go to the end. Let's have a look at what tyres he is on. He is on the mediums. More than likely will make another stop. Not sure mediums will go all the way to the end. In terms of gaps, closest battle on track is Reverend Daniels as CPI Storm makes his first pit stop. Quite early, I'd say, for mediums. He will be going on to another set. He'll probably do 12, 12, 7. Could work, especially with fresh softs, as drivers start promoting themselves at the field as these two pit. That wing damage for TJ has ruined his awesome start he got from the back of the grid, and has now got to go to the end. Will he go mediums or will he go hard? There are hard tyres going on TJW. He will go to the end. 21 laps, front wing change, And away he does eventually go for one of the longest pit stops he probably will make on the F1 calendar. And Craig Senna has retired. Is that retire in the pits? I believe it is. Yes, he has retired in the pits. Craig Senna's race is over. And he will not be scoring any points. That wing damage for Liam is significantly hurting him, and not so much to Astronaut, who has closed that gap in and they're now within DRS of each other. This battle is starting to heat up. Liam significantly on older tyres, front tyres, but rear tyres are a little bit less, considering he's had to push less. The wing damage has affected his pace. I think with wing damage you can't push the car as fast as you want. And here we go then, the battle for the leads. Can it be a little bit cleaner than what we've seen between the exchanges between Astronaut, Craig and Liam and Craig? But Astronaut saving himself as he brakes late, gets closer to the rear end of the Ferrari towards turn number 5. And now here's the overtake that we're going to probably see. Astronaut giving it everything. Overtake is on. Liam goes defensive, but Astronaut is not close enough to the back of Liam to be making the move into turn 7. Going to have to stick behind. The gap behind is nice and comfortable. 9 seconds to King Jen, who managed to keep his nose clean and is up to P3. I really want to keep on board with this battle for the lead, but I'm not sure if they're going to be changing in this tricky section of corners. I wouldn't want to risk any more damage. If I was Astronaut, I wouldn't really want to risk any more damage. But here he comes onto the second DRS straight. The third DRS straight, so to say. Not really an overtaking spot, but he's going to go for a lunge on the inside. Liam is aware, leaves the space. And that is a move completed for Astronaut for the net race lead of this Grand Prix. Liam with that wing damage, is he going to start... Oh, let's just press that. Liam with his wing damage is going to start suffering with the dirty air, or will he be able to hang in there with the help of DRS? The gap's starting to fall away a little bit. A compromised exit for Liam on the exit of turn 14 as Fozzie Bear and Zach Jarvis is gone straight on into a runoff. He's got wing damage. Unless he tried to make an overtake on the Waze or Fozzie Bear, he's got right end play. He's now doing a 1,000,000-point turn to try and get out. Maybe flick spin. If you don't want to hit the wall, he's decided to take the wall. A little flick spin, back on track. He's got a comfortable gap to the cars behind to get himself back on track safely, which we love to see. And absolute catastrophe for the Red Bulls. One retired from the race after leading on the alternate strategy. Yes, he was battling net race leaders, but as a driver, as I usually am a driver, I'm not someone who wants to give up positions easily. If you're leading the race, sure, yes, you want to lead the race and you want to take all of it with you. But there's also a time of where you're a pit stop behind. You will come back towards the end of the race on those fresher tyres, as Jake is on the back of Reverend Daniels for the battle for P4. Astronaut has now pulled out of that 1 second window. That wing damage is starting to affect Liam a little bit more, as Reverend Daniels is starting to fall away from King Jen. He's got a little bit of damage as well on the right end plate. 19% for him. No damage for the driver behind of Jake. Got a little bit of wing damage for Waze, who is comfortably in P7. He's not battling Badger for P6. He's got a nice gap for P8 of Fozzie Bear. But you've got to watch out now for CPI Storm. He's going to be on the freshest tyres of everyone at the moment other than TJW, but he's on hards respectively, so the slower compound tyre. Little look at the delta difference between the softs and the hards. The softs and the hards have a 0.8 second difference between the C5 and C4, and then the hard tyres can do nearly all the race. 28 laps is predicted, but that's 1.6 seconds slower than, I believe, the mediums or even the softs. So at the moment, your fastest driver on track should be CPI Storm. But here we go for a move up the inside towards turn 4. Jake on the inside. Reverend Daniels left in the room. Had to go, nearly went wide off the track, but that is position gained for Jake and the Racing Point team. As Primeval gets by Zach Jarvis, who makes his inevitable pit stop for a wing change. I would suggest hard tyres. Predicted lap life of the mediums is about 16 laps. He could be pushing puncture territory if he decides to pit onto mediums. He has gone hard, sensible decision, he can push all the way, but he is now at the back. Reverend Daniels is still within DRS of Jake. We're not going to be challenging in towards turn 14. And the field's starting to spread out a little bit. But we'll see if Bazza, now on the pressure tyres compared to Reverend, he managed to stretch that extra set of softs. Took him 10 laps. This could benefit him, especially if a safety car comes out. He could potentially be able to go on soft tyres at the end. CPI Storm, we know, will be going on soft tyres at the end. He started on those mediums, stretched them 12 laps as Reverend Daniels is in the pits. So he only managed 7 laps, but I believe the wing damage that he had, 19% on both end plates, was worth pitting. Fresh hards to go to the end, wing change, sensible, and he will come out behind Storm. Where's Jess on track? Jess yet to... Jess made a pit stop lap 1, I believe. Or not made a pit stop yet. Give me a second. Yeah, Jess still yet to stop. Very comfortable she seems to be on those medium tyres. Taking them 13 laps so far. She can now push maybe for a double soft stint end. The longer she stretches these tyres out, the faster she'll be towards the end. Less fuel. She's got loads of ERS. If Jess, if you could hear me, use it on the straights. It gives you that extra 20 kilometres an hour. Well, 10 kilometres an hour. It's at least 5 to 10 miles per hour on a track where you haven't got a lot of down. Where you've got a lot of downforce. Your straight line speed is going to be low on the straights, and you've got Reverend catching you up behind. The pit window open seems to be for Jess. We'll probably see you at the end of this lap. Closest battle on track is TJW on those hard tyres going to the end. He's got Demon, who is one of only 2 other than Jess yet to pit. And Demon, taking it nice and cautiously, has gone very wide in towards turn number 13 and essentially gifts the position to TJ. Maybe realises it's not his fight. Primeval on 2 stops as well. Now behind Demon and hoping to hunt down and get himself into the points. He goes late, tries to look for the outside towards turn 15, 16, and now this tight complex under the bridge of the final sector. He's going to want to get by it really quickly, really close to the rear end of the gearbox. Demon probably struggling on those really old tyres, and he is indeed. Rear 64 and 68 respectively. He does not pit. He goes really wide through turn 22 and gets Primeval up towards P11 as Jess makes her second stop onto mediums. That's an interesting strategy call there. Considering she took the first set 15 laps, maybe she doesn't trust the durability and the strength the softs will have. This allows her to push a lot more and a lot more safer on these mediums as she comes out in P14. I'll go on board with Bazza and see what his progress is like on catching the top 4. 2.2 the gap. Let's see if Liam and Astronaut have managed to keep it nice and clean. So far, Astronaut has extended that gap massively to Liam now, 6 seconds. And also King Gen has started to reel, maybe start to reel his way in. King Gen without any damage, and that damage on Liam could start reeling himself in. No penalties for the top 3 either, very crucial. So it will all be done on track. But I believe Liam will probably go for a wing change. If KingGen can get that down to about 5 or 6 seconds, I believe a pit stop with a wing change is 8.3. A pit stop without wing changes is 2.6 if you get the gear change right. That's the gap that KingGen will probably want to get within to jump Liam. If Liam boxes early or with this wing damage, maybe KingGen should go for an undercut. That'd be a smart solution. KingGen go onto a fresh set of mediums. I wouldn't recommend pitting now. Maybe go 3 more laps. Is not losing time. Is not losing time to Jake, and Bazza is really hunting Jake down. The gap now down to 1.6. Really throwing this Alfa Romeo around Singapore. In terms of tyres, he does have a lot fresher fronts. The rears, though, are a lot more worn on Bazza's car compared to Jake. Neither have got wing damage. So I believe Bazza just has the raw pace. And looks like could get himself a nice, tasty top 4 position. In terms of the championship standings, as it stands, if it stayed in this order, I know there's a few more pit stops still to go, Astronaut and Liam will be tied on points, 38 each. At the moment, I'm not too sure who's got fastest lap. It is Liam who'll get the bonus point, so that might give him the boost to keep the championship lead he would have solely wanted going into this race. So Bazza really reeling in Jake now. 0.8 seconds is the gap. He's got to be patient. He doesn't want to get any damage. He's got 3 opportunities for an overtake. Turn 1. We've seen it be a little bit messy at the moment. You don't really want to be cutting corners, Bazza. Now, that may have been a push track limit warning. Yeah, championship standings are looking very, very tasty. A little bit of a gap. KingGen will promote himself up a position to P4 with Jake KingGen will be up to P3 in the standings with Jake in P4. Bazza will be P5. The biggest loser will be Craig Senna, who will be on 10 points. He will be down in let's have a look. He will be down on 14 points. Yeah, he's on 14 points. He'll be on 14 points from the end, and will be slot around P5 or 6 in the standings. Liam makes a pit, going for that undercut strategy to get the wing changed, and he has gone on to more mediums. Now, he's going to get the undercut on Astronaut. That wing change is going to hinder him a little bit, as long as he can come out in clear air. Fozzie Bear comes around turn 1, and Liam is crucially ahead. If Fozzie Bear could get in front, that would have been really crucial for the Mercedes team. If Fozzie Bear could have got in front, he could have held up Liam, and maybe potentially cost Liam P2. But KingGen stuck it out, and it's going to continue driving on. Maybe push for a couple more laps. Maybe risk the softs. Yeah, Fozzie Bear really struggling with the rears at the moment. Bazza now still on the back of Jake. He's falling a little bit out of DRS. Maybe the dirty air is starting to hinder him a little. His track is well round known for high tyre temps as well. Such a humid place is Singapore. A lot of rain as well, so luckily we got no wet race. Humid, damp, the air is thick with moisture, and the tyres can overheat quite quickly. Astronaut very comfortable in the lead, with KingGen now making his pit stop. He's covered off the undercut of Liam behind. won't have to make a wing change as far as I'm aware. But I'm sure he'll come out behind this little battle between Liam and Fuzzy Bear. Fuzzy Bear's made a mistake. He's now 8 seconds behind Liam. Yeah, his tyres are finished. He must have had a little spin. Fuzzy Bear into the pits. Liam promoted. Liam up to P4 now on track. King Gen on mediums. Made a little inroads with that the wing change for Liam, but with those fresher tyres, Liam has managed to keep that gap ahead to about 6.7 seconds. Bazza back on the back of Jake. Yellow's in sector 3. We have a slow Alpha Tauri. Is that TJ? Yeah, going around the final corner on those hard tyres. A little bit of lag maybe. As Fuzzy Bear comes out. Can he get ahead of TJ? No, he can't. He's inside the top 10. Jess runs the final corner. He won't come out in a little bit of clear air. He'll have the hard winner of TJ. They're both on the same strategy in terms of pit stops. But Fuzzy Bear is going to have those fresher tyres. Fazza is going to have to start making the move now. This is probably a now or never kind of thing. Maybe even force the undercut. Force the hand of Jake. You've got 2 lap fresher tyres. If you pit, you'll force Jake's hand. If Jake doesn't pit, I'd recommend boxing for medium tyres, as you started on softs. Jake boxes. He does the opposite. Very smart. Gives himself the clear air. Yes, Jake will have the undercut opportunity. But Bazza now has clear air and is leading the race. Astronaut covers off the undercut of Liam. Probably saw that he was flying around the track. And comes out as Liam says fastest lap. This is going to be a lot closer than we were going to expect between the 2 championship rivals. It's going to be side by side on the exit of turn 3. Astronaut holds the position, but what an undercut from Liam. Put everything into it. Maybe it was a slow stop for Astro. Maybe it was held up in the pits. But all we know now, the battle for the net race lead is on. Here we go then, Liam to the left. Liam to the inside. There's contact between the 2. Forces Astronaut off the track. Astronaut's going to keep the inside for turn 8 and 9. And there's more contact between the 2 and Liam gets the position. Is there any damage on the Mercedes? There is. Still damaged 6%. It wasn't changed under the pit stop. That's where... Or maybe it was changed under the pit stop. Either way, he's still got left end plate damage, 6%. I'm going to have a look at the pit stops to see if we can see if there was a wing change. In terms of fuel, Liam's got more than Astronaut. Astronaut's got about 0.29. You can save a lot of fuel. You really want to be running lean. It protects your rear tyres. And Liam can now put on a little charge, maybe extend the gap to Astronaut. But Astronaut's going to stick in there with that DRS. He's at the pace in quali. He's at the pace in the race. Yellow flag. Is that CPI Storm? It is. He's gone for a spin. That is on the exit of turn 17. Any damage for Storm? He does. He has right end plate damage, 31%. Probably make a pit stop now. Maybe make his second. He'll have to go softs. I wouldn't recommend hards for 10 laps. It's not really worth it. You might as well go softs. Medium tyres were started nice and easy into the pit lane. Don't want to be speeding in the pits. The Astronaut is not finished just yet. Bazza extending it. Pushing himself for those soft tyres. Very sensible from Bazza. Giving himself... He may lose the time with the undercut as Jake is in P5 with clear air. Yeah, Astronaut not letting that 6% wing damage as Waze. It's got a lot more left end plate damage, 51% on those fresher mediums. Maybe altered to not to take the wing change, and it's now come as a consequence. But yeah, Baz's tyres, they're not too bad. We'll ride on board with him a little, see if he makes a pit stop. 60% on the right hand side, rear and front. And then on the left-hand side 56, rear 51, as he does decide to pit. Maybe it was a little bit loose through a couple of corners. He is going to cover off the undercut of Jake, as Astronaut says the fastest lap, gets the benefit of a couple of DRS zones, and Liam has now got a time penalty. Crucially for Astronaut, Liam has got himself his first track limit warning penalty. Where is Bazza going to come out? He's going to come out behind Jake. Jake does have 3 seconds. Bazza is behind Reverend as well. Bazza comes out on mediums. He has not gone to risk the soft tyres. Quite sensible. He has already used them. He's used both mandatory tyres, or at least 2 of the 3 mandatory tyres. Decided to choose mediums so he can push to the end. 9 laps all the way. He's got to make up a few positions. He's lost the position to Waze and Reverend Daniels after being behind Jake. He's lost about 8 seconds. Shows how powerful the undercut is. It's proven here with the 2 leaders. Liam was 6 seconds behind and had a wing change. Managed to make the undercut work beautifully and is leading the race. But can he put his way out of that DRS? Maybe use the dirty air to hinder Astronaut. But I'm not sure he'll be risking any overtakes in this final sector. Zach Jarvis and the other Red Bull still in the race, and now on the back of Jess. Hard tyres. He's going to have DRS. He's using every bit of overtake he's got left. Will he go for a late lunge up the inside? Is he going to expect Jess to brake early? He brakes very late. Jess saw it coming, left him the space. Didn't want to risk her race as well as his. She broke very well into the corner. Not early, late enough that it was good for defence. But she saw Zach was overshooting the braking, and Zach gets the position up to P12. Unfortunately, that knocks Jess out of the top 12. Reverend Daniels pits. Bazza has got by Waze. Waze looks like he's made a mistake, or just struggling. He's struggling again on those rears. Have a look at Waze's rear tyres. They're only 20%. Bazza's 10 and 11. They're not that much fresher compared to say Waze has been on his tyres for 4 laps and Bazza has only done an out lap essentially. The tyre deck is not that too different. Astronaut now. He knows of the penalty situation that Liam is in. He knows that he's got a nice comfortable gap as TJ gets by Reverend. Well, I'm not too sure what's happened to Reverend. It's just come out of the pits and he spawned in the middle of the track, unless he spun out of the pits. Not too sure what happened there. And Reverend is now retired from the race. Is that a game glitch? Does he get in the way of any driver? Super Storm's further behind him. It might have been a lap car that was coming up. I heard an engine roar coming towards turn 5. Yeah. After a strong performance from both McLarens, that's Reverend Daniels out of the Grand Prix. Unless he had a collision with another driver as he was exiting the pits. Not too sure. I'm sure the stewards might be busy, especially with what has happened at turn 1 and 2. Yeah, Bazza on a charge. He's got a little bit of traffic of indecisive in front of him. But I believe adhering to blue flags, it might be nice straightforward. Ghosting as well is on. It makes it a lot easier for drivers to get by back markers without being affected by the car physically being there. He hasn't got in within that 1 second window of indecisive, so he didn't get the DRS that would have helped him. But Bazza knows now that he has to keep a cool head. How many penalties does Jake have? Only 3. Gets within that 3 second window. He gets himself a top 4. He doesn't have to worry about from behind of Waze, who's got 6 seconds of penalties, and then a nice comfortable gap behind him of 17. So Bazza, freshest tyres of everyone, looking to make a charge at the moment. Maybe Astronaut will probably want to go for revenge. He's showing he's got the pace. In terms of ERS, he's having to use it. Liam's got over nearly 50%. And yeah, Astronaut is down and out on ERS. If Liam wants to defend, Liam can, and will have the use of overtake to help. But this is going to be crucial now. Astronaut is behind Liam, and Liam is now behind a back marker of Demon, who's going to give Liam DRS. That stops any opportunity for Astronaut getting an overtake in towards turn number 7, and no move made. The racing point. The racing point gets out of the way cleanly. The ghosting system, as much as it is useful, it can hinder drivers. If you've got a ghost car inside your car, affecting your vision when you're looking at where you want to hit the apex with your front right tyre, where you want to position your car on the exits. There's a car making issues with that view. It can get very stressful for the driver. But at the moment, I think Astronaut might go for the move here. Liam, is he going to go? He's not using the ERS. He goes for a dive bomb up the inside towards turn 14. Little bit of contact between the two. A lot of back end from Astronaut. And Liam holds on for now. Liam holds on for now. From when I went on board with him, he wasn't using it. He didn't go defensive. Astronaut took advantage of the open door on the inside. A little bit late, a little bit clumsy, causing contact. But I'm sure there is no more damage for Astronaut, and can confirm no more damage. Bazza now, after being on the charge on those fresh tyres, has suffered some wing damage on the right end plate. I think Liam now is going to start pushing on, trying to extend that gap. Astronaut, I believe, has made a mistake and is now out of that 1 second window, crucially. But I believe he's got the pace to get himself back in. Does he get DRS? He does not this time round. He is out of DRS, but he's given it everything he's got. In terms of fuel, the Ferrari's got 0.93 and Astronaut's got enough to push on the straights. You want to run in rich mix on the straights and then lean for the rest of it. Maybe standard in here in these little short sections, and he can close himself back up, which he has done beautifully. In terms of ERS, they're both on low. Well, Clusters, they're all running low. Oh, that's a late move up the inside from Astronaut in towards turn number 13. I was looking at the phone, I need to be looking on screen. One of the more audacious overtaking spots on the entire track. If you get a move done cleanly there, it's classed as a brilliant overtake. A little bit of contact, no position gained for Astronaut. He's getting a little bit frustrated behind Liam. He's probably thinking, why is Liam battling this? Why is Liam battling this? He's got a penalty. I don't have a penalty. We got to remember, there's still 5 laps to go. Coming on to end lap 26, there'll be 6 to go, sorry. No, 5 to go for these drivers. Older tyres for Liam, fresher tyres for Astro. And I don't think Jake Combs is out of a podium just yet. I believe that gap's starting to come down between him and King Gen. King Gen without any damage, and Astronaut with that move up the inside into turn 13 is giving himself the most minute of damage. Now it's equal on both sides, 6% on the left, 6% on the right, but it's not really lacking his pace, is it? Get ready for, we get fireworks at the end of the Grand Prix, and I'm sure we're going to get fireworks before the checkered flag between these two. They're going to want to go for pride of crossing the line first, prove that they can get an overtake done around Singapore. If I was Astronaut, start harvesting that AOS. No need to be making any clumsy moves. You've got damage. You don't really want to make any more damage, especially with the dirty air. You've got fresher tyres. You haven't got a penalty. Keep it nice and clean. No dodgy lunges. Harvest the ERS if you can through the rest of the section. I know it's very tricky to harvest ERS around this track. Although it's a slow speed circuit, there's not a lot of heavy braking zones. There's I wouldn't even call turn 1 that heavy. You're shifting down to 4th, carrying the speed through, and then to a flick right into 5th, and then you've got to brake a little bit harder for turn 2, turn 3. And you've got a heavy braking zone of turn 7. But can Astro get a nice line and exit onto the final, onto the straight? No move just yet, but things are heating up. Don't go anywhere. If anything, Kingen, although he's 15 seconds behind, if these two have a calamity collision, severe wing damage, that opens the door wide open, opens the door wide as it can be for Kingen to maybe even snatch victory here, as Alex is about to get lapped. Not making it easy, especially for Liam. He's minding his own business. He does go over to the left. Is he going to let both of them through? He does. The pressure is mounting in that cockpit of Liam as that's very close to the inside wall from Astronaut towards turn 11. I said you should push the limits, but not that close, Sunshine, to giving yourself more damage. No damage on the wings. No more damage on the wings of Astronaut. Keeps himself in a good fighting position. If he does get wing damage, because Liam has the penalty, Liam has no damage. If Astronaut gets a little bit more end plate damage, it will start to lose his pace. You saw what happened to Liam. He had 19% end plate damage, and that was enough for him to lose 6 seconds. With 3 laps to go, coming to the end. Maybe some team orders between Jess and Liam. Jess is now going to box for another stop, or did she just get out of the way? She's not come out, but she's going in the pit. She does now pit. Jess is in the pit. She was running in the points. But yeah, soft tyres for her final stint. 2 laps, maybe gun for glory. Fastest lap. She's going to have clear air. Maybe snatch it away from one of these two. Have been pushing head to toe for the entire race. 29 laps. Well, 28 laps have been completed. 3 are to go. And this win is not over yet. And as I was reiterating earlier, Liam doesn't have to let him go. No driver wants to let go at the end of the race if he got a penalty. You saw what Sebastian Vettel did with the Ferrari. He was fuming after giving that 5-second penalty. But he didn't let Hamilton do. He pushed on. He tried to make a gap. It wasn't enough, unfortunately, but he pushed on. And this is what Liam is trying to do. He's going to try and push on. If Astronaut makes a mistake, he's been making a few mistakes recently. He's got that extra wing damage. He clipped the wall on the inside in that section of corners as we've just seen. Anything is possible. That 3-second gap could come. But it's slowly running out of laps and running out of time. With the closing laps and the race coming to an end, I'm going to start looking at my driver of the day. I'm going to do it based on positions gains, overtakes, track awareness, not getting any penalties, but I'm going to give it for ability as well, driver ability on the track, recovery for any driver as well. Let's have a quick look at some penalties. So Jack Jarvis, debut for Red Bull, not doing too badly, not doing what he should be doing, I believe, for the Red Bull team. The Red Bull team will probably want to be at least fighting for the constructors, as Liam is derated or is just harvesting ERS. He's using his ERS. He knows it's crunch time. There are 2 to go here in one hub. Astro will see that red light blinking and be like, yes, he's now out of ERS. He's now going to be a lot slower on the straights. Now's my opportunity. You're in that comfortably in that 1 second window. As he runs a little bit wide. He's trying to carry a lot of speed through turn 11 apex. And he's running him a little bit wide with that wing damage, and he's nearly costing himself a little bit more. I wouldn't use your ERS, lad. Oh, almost contact between the two of them. Brakes a little bit later, Astro, but you got to remember, with the slipstream, a nice selection of air, channel of air that he's running through, when a car behind brakes, Usually you have the air hitting the car as you're braking to slow you down. A little bit more straight line speed, faster into the corner, faster into the braking zone, is going to close up drastically, and that's where people don't realise that you can run into the back of another driver, because that slipstream and that clear air, that little channel of air is so sweet in braking zones. As you can see here, he trusts his brakes. It's crunch time. 1 lap to go. Who's going to win this? It's between Liam and Astronaut. On the road it's going to be Liam, but on penalties it's going to be Astronaut, unless he gets one on this final lap. No DRS for Liam, DRS for Astronaut. This is his probably last chance to go for an overtake. Liam is harvesting EOS, he's not close enough. Maybe Astronaut is probably going to go sensible. Hold back, you've got this in the bag, fella. You've got this in the bag. We're going to talk about driver of the day, but it got a little bit hectic between these two. Based on penalties, Astronaut, King Gen, Fuzzy Bear, TJW, and Jess and Demon not getting any penalties in terms of positions gained. Position change. TJW up 8. Bazza, after starting outside the top 10, has got himself in the top 5. He was outside the top 10. He started on those soft compound tyres to be aggressive, to get those positions, and at the moment he's looking strong for a top 5 finish, as Astronaut has thrown the win away out the window in the final sector, going through turns, I believe it was turn 17. He entered the corner a little bit too early. He's cost himself the win. Liam is going to go around the final corner for the final time. He's going to cross the line and take victory. Astronaut fuming with getting himself that penalty. He settles for P2. King Gen, driven superbly, got the jump off the start and is now in P3. He's going to get a podium. No penalties for him. But my driver of the day is going to be F1 Bazza, ERT Bazza as known on Twitter. An ERT driver is going to get my driver of the day. It was going to be TJ. Maybe if TJ had pushed a little bit more. He did an excellent recovery drive for TJ. Fireworks are flying across the Marina Bay circuit, but there's going to be fireworks from Toto Wolff out of his ear holes after seeing Astronaut get that penalty. Yeah, my driver of the day is for Bazza. My question for you is going to be, did you think starting on the soft tyres when you're outside the top 10, were they going to work? Were you planning on going aggressive, seeing the drivers behind on mediums? Did you think going on those soft tyres was the best strategy? If you'd started on the mediums, do you think you could have finished higher? Or was this the perfect strategy for you? Congratulations for the driver of the day, Bazza. Fully deserved in P5 from P7. If I could give a second one, it would be for TJ, starting from the back in P17, getting himself inside the top 10. He had a little bit of a calamity with the spinning Craig Senna in the middle of the race. Getting that damage, forced to go on the hard tyres, but then drove superbly throughout and secured himself a P9 and could have even got a P8. There we have him. Driver of the day from the game, TJW. Driver of the day from me is Bazza. And there's your podium celebrations. I think Liam was not looking to see it. Liam couldn't have prayed any more for Astronaut to get a penalty. Yeah, congratulations to Liam for back-to-back wins. He extends his championship charge at the top of the table. Astronaut settles for a back-to-back P2 after a double recovery drive. There might be some stewarding after the race between the two of them after there was contact twice. But here is our final results from the Singapore Grand Prix here at One Hub Round 2. So Liam takes victory with Astronaut in second. Rounding out the podium is King Gen in the Williams. Jake in P4, holding off Bazza, who got wing damage at the end on his faster tyres, with P5, my driver of the day. Fuzzy Bear helping the constructors. Double high points paying positions for Mercedes. Wei's recovery drive after some wing damage and really worn tyres at the start of the Grand Prix in P7. Primeval started P3. I think he had an incident maybe going into the pits. Maybe him and his teammate were talking to each other. Maybe he tried to go into the pits. His teammate told him to stay out, or engineer told him to stay out. TJW would have been my second driver of the day if I was allowed to give two, but he is in 9th. Storm, great recovery, up 5 positions into the top 10. Zach Jarvis P11 for his debut after starting P5. Alex rounds out your 12 points playing positions, I believe it is. Jess in 13, very unfortunate not to get into 12th as she did last week. Indecisive and Silent Demon are your final finishers. Then you've got Reverend Daniels, Craig Senna and Stereogram rounding out the grid. I hope you've enjoyed this thrilling Grand Prix. It really got nice and juicy at the end, but throughout the gap started to extend. No safety cars. I got to congratulate the drivers for trying to keep it as clean as possible. No real crashes that cause safety cars, which is what you love to see. So Bazza's driver of the day. The rivals between Craig and Liam, a little bit feisty between the two of them. Hopefully that goes forward to next week, where we will be racing. If I had the calendar, I will let you know. Where are we racing next week? Please help me. I'm sure you'll. I'll find it another time. I'm going to run out of time. But I thank you all for watching. I enjoyed the commentators. I miss my co-commentator Matthew Redmore, but I'm sure he'll join me next week for round 3. Thanks all for watching. Be sure to check out our sponsors before I go. So we have Next Gen Level Racing, riding GT Light Cockpit as a prize to our giveaway winner. We've got Liam RBS sponsors the trophies. FimM Sim Racing sponsored the league, providing a pair of sim racing gloves for the driver with the most poles and the most fastest laps. At the moment, leading the most poles, Astronaut. Leading fastest laps, I believe it is Liam. Partnered with Vesterbean, who supports the championship prizes, and ERT, who do their Going Gets Tough award in collaboration with Time to Print, 20% off this week's racetrack at Singapore on their Etsy store using the code ONEHUB. Thank you all for watching. I've been your commentator, and I'll see you all next week. Be sure to check out OneHub social medias, follow on Twitter, join the Discord, check out the Podium, Points, Pinnacle, and there's one more tier. It's not in my head. Be sure to check them all out. They're probably streaming now or will be streaming. Check it out on the YouTube and Twitch. Thank you all for watching, and see you next week.